Hey Jews, are you getting ready to re-traumatize yourself? And are we getting ready as a whole nation to re-traumatize ourselves about the Holocaust? Holocaust Remembrance Day on May 6th, so that we can be so thankful that we have the Zionist state of Israel, who will save us from another Holocaust. And guess what? Looking pretty pre-Holocausty right now in our time, in our year right now. It's looking a little bit pre-Holocaust, right? We've seen this situation before, and it's looking very similar. So what do I mean about traumatizing ourselves or re-traumatizing ourselves? I have another class called Are We Trauma Bonded to the State of Israel? So please go and watch it. I'm going to link it in my description. And also Zionism and Judaism, are they compatible? Something like that. I'll link that also in my description. Let's take a look at the nation of Israel. That's us. I have pretty much all of my other videos talk about who we are. You can also go see my video called Will the Nation of Israel Please Stand Up? Yes, I will link that also in my description. We have to learn, you guys. We have to learn about our history. We have to learn about us. We have to understand our reality, which is 5-dimensional. You can go see all of my other videos, talk about that. But right now I'm just going to talk about the nation of Israel, okay? And how we are traumatized. Well, trauma bonded, actually. I'll talk about the trauma bonding, because that's specifically what I want to talk about. Again, that every year when the Holocaust Memorial Remembrance Day comes around, we're all re-traumatized. Okay, and then right on its heels, a very week later, we have the Independence Day of the State of Israel. Now, if you will please go and learn the real history of how this in 1948 came about, and about the Holocaust, okay, and the involvement of the Zionists in everything, I think we'll have a bit of a different picture about what's going on and who we are as the holy nation of Israel. Let's just ask ourselves, would it have not been possible? Okay, everyone over and over and over again, I hear them saying, but there's only one Jewish country. There's only one Jewish country. But is this a Jewish country? Let's think. It's actually not. It doesn't have any of the Torah laws, okay? It has a minority of Orthodox religious people here, okay? Part of the problem is because we don't have the Torah laws. If we had the Torah laws, all the religious people would be here, obviously, because this is the holy land, and we are the holy nation, okay? And we're not going to get into the whole discussion of whether we should come back without, that God didn't end the exile, and I mean, all the information about why we got exiled in the first place, blah, blah, blah. Go and see literally every single last one of my videos. But regardless, let's just say that after the Holocaust in 1948, there was a need for our safety, for our very survival, to have a land of our own, a country of our own, an army of our own, so that never again, hashtag, right? Except for October 7th, when it was again, right? When it was again. And now we see in many, many places, like pretty much all of the universities all over the place, where they liked October 7th, okay? They're a fan of October 7th. They're not saying, you know what, this October 7th situation was terrible. They're a bunch of terrorists. And everything that's happened since then, obviously we know about our hostages and that no one cares. No one cares about the rapes. No one cares about the Jews. We see that. Okay, so it would be one thing if they were just like, we're really super concerned about these Palestinian people who lived in an open-air prison, which was like absolutely gorgeous, way nicer than any place in Israel. But let's just say they suddenly care about that. Don't care about any other people anywhere, but they really care about that. That would be one thing. However, they're pro-Hamas. Okay, again, I talk about everything. That's not my point now. My point is a re-traumatizing of the nation of Israel every year so that we will be trauma bonded to the state of Israel, which, like I said, it doesn't have the Torah laws in the land of Israel, okay? The way that the nation of Israel, the holy nation of Israel, should be in the land, the holy land of Israel, is with the Torah laws, with the kingdom of David, and with the temple. This is literally the hope and dreams of the Jewish people from the get-go, is this situation, this connection, this special connection, okay? So if currently we have anti-Torah laws, okay, because it's not just that we don't have Torah laws, we have things that are anti-Torah, okay? We have a small population of Orthodox Jews living in not great conditions, because in order for an Orthodox Jew, a Torah observant Jew, to live in the land of Israel today, in the state, so we have the state sitting here. Okay, there's certain requirements for Jews. Okay, Jews live a certain way. One, just the most obvious things in the world, we keep Shabbat. Okay, in the land of Israel, is it the majority of people keeping Shabbat or the minority? It's the minority, okay? So if you want to keep Shabbat and you want to be in an area where other people are not desecrating the holy Sabbath, you have very limited places where you can live, okay? And in those places, okay, let's say you keep kosher, okay? Do all of the restaurants in Israel keep kosher? All of the stores, if you could just wander into any store and buy anything without checking it, would that be, that's something you would expect from a Jewish country, right? Well, that's not the case in Israel. So, and then, for example, you will want to have a home that is conducive to keeping the laws and the customs of the nation of Israel, right? So you're going to want to have things like 2 sinks, one for meat and one for dairy. You're going to want to have some sort of balcony or some sort of land in which to have a sukkah, which is commanded to us that we sleep in it, not just eat the meals. Chabad, that is changing everything. Okay, so you're going to want to have certain things. So that's not available all over Israel. The nicer places, okay, so they have great, sometimes, let's just say apartments, okay? So these apartments, especially the new ones and the nicer ones, okay, are all, most of them have balconies that are all fully covered. So you can't build sukkah there. Okay, so what's a Jew to do in Israel? It's not a Jewish country. Okay, you think you would be able to at least rely on the kashrut of the head rabbis. Nobody no Orthodox person relies on that kashrut. I mean, then the list goes on and on and on and on, and I'm not gonna just keep going. I'll never end. So my point, though, is that you want to sit there and defend the state of Israel, okay? Because it is the only Jewish country. However, it's everything but. It's not a Jewish country. We're just trauma bonded to it because we have nowhere else to go. We now see also, whereas before, it was just like a, how do you call it? Like a safety, whatever. Like in the unlikely event, if you don't know any Torah, maybe you were thinking it was an unlikely event that anti-Semitism would again rise and we would all be worried about Holocaust 2.0, which happened in the state of Israel on October 7th. Everybody said so. Everybody said it was like a second Holocaust. Okay, so it was just like a safety net for us at up until October 7th. And now we see that all over the world, anti-Semitism is rising. So it's concerning, obviously. But if you look back, and again, I'm going to link 2 books in my in the description here, which I think are essential reading, please, for everybody. That when the Holocaust happened, there were lots of things that happened during that time that were beneficial to the group of people that wanted to set up the state of Israel. Okay, so this whole situation was making it critical and getting a lot of sympathy on the world stage to make this happen. Okay, and like I said, we're re-traumatized every year, over and over and over. And right after we're re-traumatized and shown all the, the footage, the films, the pictures, remembering, and pretty much all of us have people who died in the Holocaust, okay? So we want to remember them, okay? You want to remember and never forget and never again the things that happened on October 7th. I mean, you can already go, I guess, and there have already been many, many tours that take you through Kibbutz Be'eri to see the horrors so that we can bear witness, blah, blah, blah. In our timeline of the Jews, many, 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 many things have happened that are terrible. Just like the Holocaust, just like the Inquisition, just like the pogroms, just like the exile from just after the first temple was destroyed and the Jews were taken out of the land of Israel. Okay, that whole thing was terrifying and disgusting and traumatizing. Okay, so we have many, many things, and yet the Chachamim, the smart geniuses of our lineage, they didn't. Do you think they just didn't think about doing a pogrom Remembrance Day? Do you think they didn't think to do a Inquisition Remembrance Day? Shouldn't we also think about those people? I mean, there's a reason why. Okay, if we don't have the temple, we're traumatized and we're people without a connection, a proper connection to God as a nation. Because the proper way to be here is with the Torah laws, right? The nation of Israel with the Torah laws in the Holy Land with a kingdom of David, not a state of Israel, not any other thing. Literally just the kingdom of David. And then we would have the temple and we would have this connection again. Okay? So if we have the state of Israel, okay, which seemed like we needed it, because of the Holocaust, which we will remind ourselves every year over and over. Remember what they did to us. Remember, we're not safe anywhere. Remember, they all want to kill us. Remember, they're all anti-Semites. There's no safe place in the world except for Israel, which is the only Jewish nation. That's a lie. The only Jewish country. Nothing Jewish about this country. Anti-Jewish. Okay? So why do we get re-traumatized, right? Why is that? Was it the holy nation of Israel that set up that Remembrance Day? Was it the rabbis? Was it the Chachamim that used to lead our country, our nation? The leaders of the nation were usually Torah scholars, the smartest people, the people who saw reality, our 5D reality, through a Torah lens, a Torah perspective, which is objective reality, okay? But no, other people who are called the Erev Rav, which we are told at the end of time, okay, the end of time, we're only going to 6,000, we're at 5,784. So at the end of time, we're told that the Erev Rav is going to be the leaders, okay? Political leaders, rabbis even. There's 5 different groups. You can go and see all of my other classes. So the reason that we're re-traumatized, the reason we even have a Holocaust Remembrance Day is not to remember our fallen, our dead, and remember that we are never safe anywhere unless we have an army, unless we have a state, okay, which is the message that they want us to have, which is in fact the message that I believe myself my whole entire life before I learned the Torah, okay? But now I understand that that's just trauma bonding us to a place that actually isn't going to save us, right? IDF that stood down for 8 hours, stood down, didn't come. Okay, October 7th happened here. Okay, this is a lie. It's not never again, it's again. It's again. And it's all over the world. Okay? So, like I said, that's the purpose. Okay? Otherwise, our Chachamim, our very smart people that always used to lead the nation of Israel, would have themselves told us, this is what we got to do. We got to remember the Holocaust every year. We got to remember it, never forget it. Never forget, never again. Instead, they didn't. Okay, just like they didn't also for the Inquisition or the pogroms or any of the other terrible things that happened to us in our timeline. Okay? Because the proper way to honor your dead as a Jew would be to elevate their souls, because we know after, okay, this is 3 in the physical. These are the dimensions of our reality, physical. 1 is spiritual and 1 is time. We know that so not only time of our reality, but also the time of your life, okay? So this is also on our reality scale. There's a physical element to our reality. There's 3 physical dimensions to our reality. There's 1 spiritual dimension to our reality, and there's 1 dimension, which is time. But also in our lives as people, we are 3-dimensional physical beings. We have a 1 dimension that is spiritual, and that is our soul. And 1 dimension is time. So we have a time from when we are born to when we die. King Solomon eloquently said in Kohelet, one of the many things, there's a time for everything. There's a time to be born and there's a time to die. We are all going to die one way or another, whether it is in a terrible, terrible way, like in the Holocaust, or whether you just fall asleep and never wake up. Okay, but after that, something happens to your soul. There is an Olam Haba, but there's also things that happen to you after you die. Your soul, it's not the end of you per se, okay? So the proper way to have honored and remember our dead that were murdered in cold blood by the heartless anti-Semite nations that participated in that and that allowed that to happen and that didn't respond, like the IDF didn't respond on October 7th, a lot of the nations knew that what was happening and they did nothing. So until they finally did, thank you for finally that they did that, okay? But regardless, the proper way to honor our dead in this situation would be to elevate their soul. Elevate their soul. By doing charity, by doing whatever you can do to elevate and honor them in the Jewish way. Okay? So, like I said, that's a date that was set up May 6th to re-traumatize us and trauma bond us to the state of Israel, in which we'll celebrate the Independence Day of the state of Israel. Independent from what? Independent from the Torah and from God and the temple and the kingdom of David and the holy nation of Israel, who are despised and hated and whatever, just like they are all over the world, also here in Israel. Okay, so if you are going to celebrate the Independence Day of the state of Israel, okay, and I'm not saying about anything about, whatever. We're here now. We're in the land of Israel, okay? If the state would just adopt all of the Torah laws, listen and let the Chachamim, the Torah scholars, lead us, which is not what is happening now and not what is in the prophecies from the end of time, which clearly say it was going to be the Erev Rav, so whatever. But I'm just saying, if they did, then maybe Eliyahu Hanavi would come and tell us who the Mashiach is. And I'll tell you just right now who it's not. It's not anyone who just died recently and is a rebbe of a bunch of people who want him to be their Mashiach. That's a cult. Okay, so if we had all of that, we would have the temple, okay? And then we would finally be able to celebrate in our reality. Until then, we're not even supposed to celebrate our marriages, our wedding days with complete happiness. We're always supposed to break a glass because the temple's not rebuilt. So why are you happy? Why are you celebrating Independence Day of the State of Israel? Maybe this year you won't. At least don't celebrate. At least, like, we can learn from what happened in Purim when the Jews went to the feast of Achashverosh and they celebrated and they enjoyed themselves and they weren't redeemed. They didn't come back and build the temple. Okay, so don't celebrate. Don't celebrate that. We want to be redeemed. We want to be redeemed. Why? Because first of all, that's the end to our story. We know our whole entire story. We know the beginning, we know the middle, and we know the end is going to be a redemption. And we know that it's going to be a good situation, unlike what it looks like today in our world, right? Which looks pre-Holocaust. Okay? So we want the redemption, we want God to save us, and we want the kingdom of David. That's what Jews want.